The house stood quietly at the end of Rose Hill Lane, a weathered Victorian structure with ivy crawling up its brick walls and a rusty iron gate that creaked when opened. Emma Harris had moved in hoping to find peace, a quiet escape from the bustle of city life and her recent breakup. She wasn't expecting the house to come with a guardian. On her very first morning, as she sipped tea and gazed out the front window, she saw her, a black and white cat, sitting silently on the windowsill from the outside. It stared into the house with calm, unblinking eyes. Emma raised her brow, but thought little of it. Maybe a neighborhood stray. But the next day, the cat was still there. Same spot, same posture. And the day after that, by the end of the week, Emma grew curious. The cat wasn't begging for food or meowing come in. It simply waited. When she asked a neighbor about it, the response chilled her. "Oh, that's Whiskers," said Mrs. Pendle, an old woman who had lived next door for 50 years. She's been sitting there for 10 years now, ever since Miss Holloway died. Miss Holloway? Emma asked. The last owner. Poor soul. Her son never came back from the war. She died waiting. And so did the cat. Well, almost. She's been there ever since. Emma laughed awkwardly, brushing off the eerie feeling. But when she returned home that night and saw the cat still sitting there, watching silently, a sense of unease crept into her. She began leaving food on the step, but Whiskers never touched it while Emma watched. Only in the morning would the bowl be empty. Then came the dreams. She began seeing a woman in her sleep, gray-haired, wrapped in a shawl, sitting by the fire and calling out for Thomas. Emma would wake in a cold sweat, heart racing, only to find Whiskers now inside the house, sitting near the same window. She hadn't opened the door. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something about the house was off. She heard soft weeping late at night, felt sudden drops in temperature even with the heater on. Whiskers would stare at the corner of the room for hours, tail twitching as if seeing something Emma couldn't. The dreams intensified. Emma now heard voices, pleas for forgiveness, the sound of a young man crying. She began researching the history of the home. Public records revealed that Margaret Holloway had indeed lived there alone. Her only son, Thomas, was drafted into World War II and declared missing in action in 1943. But Emma stumbled upon something unusual. Letters from Thomas dated after he had supposedly gone missing. One night, unable to sleep, Emma watched as Whiskers pawed persistently at the base of the wall beneath the window. Over and over, the cat scratched the same spot. Emma grabbed a flashlight and began knocking along the wall. One section sounded hollow. She retrieved a crowbar and carefully pried open the wood. Behind it was a hidden compartment filled with dust and cobwebs, and a small wooden box. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside were old letters, yellow with time, all written by Thomas to his mother. The ink had faded, but the words were filled with sorrow, regret, and a plea for her to forgive him. Tucked beneath the letters was something far more horrifying, a skeletal hand. Emma stumbled backward, nearly vomiting. She called the local authorities anonymously. Days later, forensic teams confirmed that the bones belonged to a young man in his early 20s, Thomas Holloway. There were no signs of murder, but speculation pointed to a hidden family secret. Had Thomas returned, only to hide from shame or fear? Had his mother kept him there, refusing to lose him again? Whatever the truth, it had been sealed in silence and in the wall, until now. Whiskers no longer sat at the window. She wandered the house quietly, curling up in Emma's lap, something she had never done before. The cold patches disappeared. The house felt lighter for the first time since moving in. Emma felt like the house truly belonged to her. The shadows no longer whispered. The floors no longer creaked with invisible footsteps. And Whiskers, the ever-silent, ever-watching guardian, was finally acting like a regular cat. Emma took her to the vet, who estimated she was nearly 20 years old. "It's a miracle she's lived this long on her own," he said, "but she seems content." Emma smiled. She's done her job. As the weeks passed, Whiskers became more affectionate, spending time in different parts of the house, exploring rooms she had previously ignored. She ate well, napped in the sun, and no longer stared out the window with that eternal gaze. But one morning, Emma found her motionless beneath the very window where she had waited all those years. Her body was peaceful, her eyes closed, her breathing gone. Emma wrapped her gently in a soft cloth and buried her in the front garden, right under the window. She placed a small wooden sign, Whiskers, the faithful watcher. The story of Whiskers and the hidden skeleton made headlines in the local paper. Neighbors came by to share their own memories of Miss Holloway and Thomas. Some cried. Others simply shook their heads, saying, "We always knew something was off in that house." But Emma knew better. Whiskers hadn't just been waiting for someone. She had been guarding a secret, keeping watch until the truth finally surfaced. She had been the link between a mother, her missing son, and the heavy silence that haunted the walls. Sometimes, on cold winter nights, Emma swore she could hear soft footsteps padding across the wooden floor. And once, just once, she thought she saw a flicker of black and white fur in the window's reflection. But she didn't feel fear, just warmth. Whiskers wasn't waiting anymore. She had found peace and given it in return.